The following is a WRHU special program. If you want talk, games, and fun all rolled into one, well, you've come to the right place. This is The Game Show, where host Bradley Clarke and his special guests talk about the world of television game and competition shows. But Bradley's guests aren't here to just talk. They came to play a game as well. What will today's topic be? What game does Bradley have planned? There's only one way to find out.
It's time to start the show.
You heard the man. Welcome to The Game Show. And here's your host, the Bradster himself, Bradley Clarke.
It is time to start the show. Thank you so much, Austin Angelo. Welcome to The Game Show, the talk show that discusses your favorite game and competition shows. And today's topic of discussion is none other than Survivor Game Changers.
This is Survivor Game Changers. 39 days, 20 people, 1 survivor.
It is certainly an exciting season, and we're going to talk all about it today. And joining me in studio, a true Survivor fan just like myself, WRHU's own Tiffany Vellis. Hello, Tiffany.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing great. Are you enjoying this season as much as I am?
I definitely am. It's been an eventful season.
That's right. One of the most eventful season, I'd say, between the players and the tribals and all the twists.
At every single tribal, I'm a little bit more surprised, and I like to watch it usually on record because I'm coming from work, and I can see usually, there's 20 minutes left in the show and they go to tribal, and I'm like, oh, what's going to happen tonight?
That's right, yeah. There's been so many wild moments at Tribal Council this season. I can't wait to get your opinion on some of them. But first, we got to talk about the cast of Survivor Game Changers. This season's cast consists of 20 people who, quote-unquote, apparently have changed the game.
Questionable. Jeff Probst, before the season started, he defined what a game changer was. So let's hear his definition of a game changer.
Let's be clear what we call a game changer. My definition is people who are willing to make a move to try to change the game.
So do you agree with that? Do you think a game changer is someone who tried to change the game?
No, I think it's someone that has changed the game in
Right.
one way or another. Someone that was memorable from their season, someone that actually has already made the big moves. I think you had to earn your way onto this season, and I think a lot of this season, I think you agree with me, is people who thought about making moves on their seasons, talked about it on their seasons, but didn't actually get to accomplish it for one way or another. So
you know how many players have tried to make moves and change the game?
Every player has tried to make a move.
You're on Survivor. You're going to try to do whatever you want.
Absolutely.
And for you to say that these 20 people are the sole people that have changed the game because they tried to make a move to change their season is ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's just plain old ridiculous. I want to play the first 20 seconds of Survivor Game Changers where Jeff Probst introduces the season as Survivor Game Changers.
Over 17 years and 33 seasons, the game of Survivor has evolved. These are the players that changed the game.
How can you say that all of these players are game changers? I mean, look at a cast like Heroes vs. Villains. That is an all-star cast of game changers,
Yes.
right then and there.
Yes.
There's some that are, okay, a little bit questionable, but for a majority, that was the quintessential Survivor cast. You can't complain
No, you
about
definitely
Heroes
can't.
versus Villains.
Absolutely not. And you loved the framing of that season because those are the two types of players that you see in this game, the heroes and the villains, and the fact that they were actually able to fill those roles appropriately just made it that much better. Now this season you come in, you're thinking game changers, they promote it before the season starts, and I think you and me are both on the same page thinking some of the insane players that can come back and some of the most exciting players you've seen in the last decade or so, I would say. And then you look at this cast and maybe a handful of them, and not even really any of them remaining now at this point. I mean, I don't know, a little discouraging for the rest of the season.
Yeah, when I first saw the cast, I did a Michaela. What? That's what I did. I'm saying to myself, come on. Now, the way the people that they brought out at the Millennials versus Gen X reunion show, you had Tony, you had Sari, you had Sandra, Ozzy, and then here comes Caleb. They say Michaela's coming back. And okay, Ty, he did a lot in his season, But when you put a big name out there, game changers,
Right.
Ty is not the first person I think of. Who do I think of? Richard Hatch, Russell Hantz, Parvati, all those, basically almost the Heroes versus Villains cast. That's who I think of.
Yeah.
Not Debbie or Haley or Sierra Dawn Thomas. Now, these people, if they wanted to come back in a season of returning players, by all means,
Right.
I'd see them again. But when you label this season game changers, I want to see game changers.
Right. And I mean, I guess if you want to focus on, say, someone like Ty, he's an interesting player because he did find all the idols, he used the idols. But I feel like he's that type of player who things just kind of work out for him. I don't think he really has any kind of strategy. I mean, the tribal council where he tried to flip the vote when Sandra, the vote that Sandra went home, he tried to flip the vote on Ozzy, and that was the dumbest thing he could have.
Right.
I'm sitting there going, why are they not flipping and voting Ty out right now?
Right.
You know, just send him home. Flush out 2 idols. I mean, of course, they don't know they're there, but he has no strategy. He just hopes for the best, and he's, you know, he's a cute little guy who everybody loves, and no one really goes after him for some reason, even though he's proved himself to be able to find immunity idols, and win immunity. So, you know, I don't really understand his game.
And that's the problem, the actual game changers. And I knew this going in. They were going to be the first voted out. It's not like Heroes versus Villains when everyone was strong.
Exactly.
All 20 people had an equal chance of getting voted out because each of them were strong. Now, when you only have 5 people or so that you can consider game changers, they're going to vote them out first.
Well, you know, Tony said something interesting. I think it was like the first episode of the season. He said to Sandra, we have to stick together because we've won. If we can get the people who have already won or who have done very well or been, you know, back for a couple of seasons to kind of come together and be an alliance, then we're stronger than if we're individuals, because then everybody's going to attack us.
Right.
And she didn't want to do that.
No.
And she said no. And now look where Tony is, look where Sandra is, look where Ozzy is. They're all
Right.
gone because they were working individual games instead of being smart and playing together, which absolutely would have helped their game. And then maybe you have 3 previous winners sitting at that final tribal council.
Which
Then
would have
you
been
to give
awesome.
someone, exactly. Then you have to give someone another $1 million,
Yeah.
which is unbelievable that they were able to get themselves back to that spot.
Yeah, and bringing up that point, there were a few castaways that said, I want to align with the bigger threats because that was the way to stay in the game.
Right.
But
But now
didn't-
they're all gone.
they're all gone now. I'm just looking at who's left in this game and looking at who's gone, and it's just mind-blowing. I looked back at, I keep bringing up Heroes versus Villains, but you have to when you're comparing an all-star season
Right.
with an all-star season. And the people that were gone early compared to the people who were at the merge, I didn't mind it because everyone was strong.
Right.
But then when you look at the players who are gone now, and you're saying to yourself, oh man, I wish they would have gone further compared to who's left.
And I don't think that if I was somebody that had like not watched the game for how many years I've been watching it I feel like it's been like 20 years and I'm only 21.
Right.
But if I wasn't someone who's watched the game for that long, I don't know if I'd want to watch this season as my first season. You
Me
know,
neither.
because no one's really doing anything that's blowing me out of the water. It's kind of the obvious choices.
Right.
Vote out all the strong players. Okay, that's done. Now what?
Exactly.
No one wanted to play with them, and I feel like it'd be so much more interesting if we saw some of those really strong players have to compete against each other. And that's why Heroes versus Villains was so successful, because you were seeing the best of the best battle it out.
And
now
also
there's
too
not the
with
best.
with Heroes versus Villains, they actually took players that spanned the 10 years that were on.
Yeah.
For this cast, it's mostly recent players. And I think what Survivor is doing now with all-star seasons or seasons that they're bringing people back is that they're picking people from recent seasons because people will remember them more.
But that's the thing that's annoying and
Right.
frustrating, because
Yeah.
these players, even some of these players, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember them playing. I don't remember what season.
What
but
they
were
did.
there. What'd you do? I don't really know. But players, you know, like Sandra, she's from a long time ago, and
And I
everybody
still
remembers
remember.
her.
Right.
You're not going to forget Sandra. She's just one of those players.
But the problem with Sandra this season as compared to her other seasons is that in Pearl Islands and Heroes versus Villains, she could lay back because there were so many other strong players that were trying to take control. But this season, there's so many people that are weak,
Right.
mostly strategically, that she had to do everything. And that's why she got labeled as a target. And that's why, unfortunately, she got voted out.
Right. She was in a tough spot this season because, like you said, she comes in and what's her strategy? Everybody knows she's a 2-time winner. Everybody knows she hasn't been voted out before. So she's never experienced that. But do you try to just be the top dog because they already know you're the top dog? Or do you try your best to lay low and, like you said, really wasn't much of an option because what was going to get done? Things would get done, and she would get voted out even earlier, I think. So she played the best game she could, and you know what? She went down fighting. That was an exciting tribal council. She did everything she could in her power, but at the same time, you kind of knew that she probably wouldn't make the merge because she was someone that from day one everybody was kind of talking about and wondering when they were going to go after. So I'm surprised she even made it as long as she did.
She made it to day 16, which is pretty impressive for a two-time winner.
It is, absolutely.
Who tried to take control of her tribe.
Considering how quickly someone like Tony went out.
Right, on the second tribal council. So we're talking about tribal councils. Let's get into the big tribal council moment, starting with Survivor Cagayan winner Tony Vlachos getting voted out of Survivor Game Changers.
Second person voted out of Survivor Game Changers. Tony. That's 5. That's enough. Need to bring me your torch.
Sheep being led to the slaughter. Good job, Sandra.
That's what you get for plotting against me.
Good job.
That's what you get, and the queen stays queen.
You guys are suckers if you allow that to happen.
That's what you get.
Tony, the tribe has spoken. Time for you to go.
Bye, Tony. Say hi to Sierra for me.
So there you go. Tony voted out at the second tribal council. And Sandra, right on cue, the queen stays queen.
The queen stays queen.
I mean, you love to hate her, right?
Yeah.
Every time there was a tribal council that she was the one who pretty much dictated the way the queen stays queen. Every time she walked in to show her vote to the camera, I mean, you have to respect her for she wanted to come in, she wanted to be the queen, she wanted to play this loud, in-your-face, dominating game. And she did. She did just that. She went out punching, and you love it. But Tony, I mean, I'm sure he's frustrated that he went out as early as he did in this season, but at the same time, he had a good idea. And just no one supported it. Maybe it was a little bit too early to be trying to make a move like that. Maybe wait a couple tribal councils, see if you can actually get the trust of some of these lesser players behind you. And I think he just tried to punch a little too early.
Yeah, and I would have loved to see him continue. I would have loved to see what the spy bunker would have been like. He was starting to build it in the sand. I wanted to see if he was actually going to go underground and spy on people. That was genius.
Yes, it is. I'm surprised that he's one of the first people that's ever thought of like, let me just build this bunker underneath the sand and spy on everybody.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, everybody just kind of, stands behind trees and they get caught all the time. And I'm like, there's definitely a better way that you can go about this.
Yeah,
this
exactly.
whole spying thing.
Maybe the well wasn't the best spot because
Probably not.
everyone's over there. And I understand what he said about him wanting to be where everyone usually is. Mm-hmm. But last time around, he was in a spot where you would never expect someone to be hiding.
Yeah.
It was out in the open, nowhere near anywhere.
I just think that he went for it full speed too quickly with everything that he was doing, even with the spy bunker, with trying to go for Sandra really, really early. He didn't have the trust of people behind him yet. He really didn't know what he could and couldn't get away with. And that's, I feel like the first 2 or 3 tribal councils, when you're in those smaller tribes, whether it be 2 or 3 tribes, are when you kind of feel out the people around you and figure out, okay, can I actually trust this person? Can I actually connect to this person? And he didn't do that. He just came out guns a-blazing and he didn't have any of the support behind him, and that's why he went out. But I think he could have been one of those players, again, who was just really fun to watch. I mean, a player like JT going out as early as he did, someone you wanted to watch. Even Malcolm. The way that Malcolm went out was just so sad.
Yeah.
So sad.
And I think Tony's exit was the beginning of the downfall of the Game Changers, because then you have Malcolm getting voted out on day 11, 5 days later, and here's how it played out.
4th person voted out of Survivor Game Changers. Malcolm. That's 3. That's enough. Need to bring me your torch.
Now, I don't usually feel bad for players who get voted out, but this vote out was just devastating. You could see the disappointment on Malcolm's face, and he could do nothing.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's interesting that even the moments leading up to that tribal council, he really wasn't someone that seemed to be on the chopping block all that much. They mentioned it. Do we go for the strong player? Malcolm's the strongest player. Of course they're going to mention it. But really, it seemed like Culpepper understood that JT was probably going to try and help them get Sandra out that early. Now, that would have been epic. Yeah. That would have been unbelievable if they were able to actually take out Sandra in that fashion. Because I really thought that Sandra would go to the merge at that point. Once she made it through that tribal council, I'm like, you know what, it's all over.
Right. I would have loved to seen actually JT get voted out at that tribal council.
That would have been
the same thing as him giving Russell the idol and him getting voted out because of that idol. It would have been deja vu. I think actually they should have taken out JT at that point. Because Malcolm, he's not the best strategic player.
No, not at all.
You have someone like JT who's actually making moves to go talk to the other tribe,
right,
cause all this chaos. That's the person to be afraid of.
Yeah, I'm wondering if the thought process for Culpepper at that point in his tribe is, if JT comes into tribal council and tries to help us, he's going to be the easy target anyway. So we don't have to even worry about taking him out right now. And I think that it could have worked in both ways for him, because either A, JT will get voted out in the next tribal council for turning on his tribe, or B, he'll make it to the point where they switch up tribes and maybe Culpepper can work with JT again. So it's best case scenario for him.
Yeah. I must say, though, when JT got voted out at his tribal council on Tribal Council 5 on day 13, his comment about game changers was probably the best comment so far this season. Here it is.
Jeff, some of us aren't quite game changers. Some of us are just filling space.
He said what we were all thinking.
That was the most honest and accurate quote of the season so far.
Yeah.
Some of you are just wasting space. There you go. And I'm so glad he got to say that.
Someone said it, right?
Exactly. Let's get to Sandra getting voted out after 94 days of playing Survivor.
So
Jeff
close.
Probst got to snuff her torch.
6th person voted out. Sandra. That's 4. That's enough. Need to bring me your torch.
I wish you guys luck. It's okay. You guys knock it out.
Sandra, for the first time in 94 days of Survivor, the tribe has spoken.
Don't do it, Jeff. Don't do it. Don't do it, Jeff. Good luck.
The queen.
Time for you to go.
All right. Bye.
Bye, Sandra.
We were just talking as the clip was playing. We would have loved to seen Sandra make a jury, because she's never made a jury because she's won twice.
Yeah. She would have been so much fun, because you know what? The best thing about her is that she tells it how it is. So to see her, be on a jury of what potentially could be 3 players who we don't really consider game changers at this point, I think she would have gone there and she would have said it like it is.
Right.
Why
Why you here?
I'm a game changer and I'm sitting over here and you're there and you shouldn't be there. So it would have been fun to see her get to that point in the game.
Exactly. We haven't even seen her get to ask a question. So Sandra gets voted out after 94 days. Jeff Probst got to snuff her torch. And now we have a tribal council that went beyond Survivor. You had Jeff Varner calling out Zeke Smith for being transgender.
There is deception here.
Yeah.
Deception on levels, Jeff, that these guys don't even understand. There's more.
Continue.
Why haven't you told anyone you're transgender?
Jeff Varner has publicly apologized, and I actually do feel bad for him about what happened. Though it was wrong,
Right.
I do feel bad that it had to go on Jeff, especially since he was really trying to make a merge. He's played twice before, has never made a merge.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a bit disappointing on how it came out, but this was a shocking moment. What did you think when you first heard it?
Shocked. I was sitting at home, laying on my bed. I'm watching it, and the second he turned and said it, I jumped up and I sat in that position with my eyes bulging out of my head for the next 10 or 15 minutes that it went on. And it's heartbreaking, because once it all sets in and once Jeff's face just broke and, you look over at Zeke, who his cheeks are flushed, but he's just not even reacting to the moment. And then everybody got emotional. I can't say I was emotional, but I could feel for every single person sitting there. And in the way that they were reacting, how they were feeling at that moment. And I actually read that Jeff was actually fired from his job.
Yeah, he was.
And the company, I'm not even sure of the name that he worked for, they released a statement saying, we had no information about this, but it did come out, and we have values and we don't associate with what he said and yada yada. And it's just horrible, because he just kept saying over and over again that, I have a lot of friends who are in minority groups, whether it be transgender, gay, so on and so forth, and I support them and I understand with them. And he just kept saying that, and it's almost like no one believes him now. And that's heartbreaking, because he made a dumb mistake and he knows that it is a dumb mistake. And the fact that Zeke was able to stand up, give him a hug, and he seemed content with the moment when it finally ended, it's a nice moment, but at the same time, it's so sad to watch that happen, because at the end of the day, it is a game. You know, this isn't real life. It's a game you're playing for money. But sometimes people just take it a bit too far, and that's the farthest, very long beyond the farthest that we've ever seen the game go.
Yeah, and I actually was rooting for Jeff Varner, especially
He
when
was fun to watch.
Yeah, especially when Tony and Sandra got out. I was rooting for Varner because I thought that back in Australia he got voted out because of previous tribal council votes, and now that rule is out of play. And I felt he got robbed in that situation. And then in Second Chance, I felt he got robbed too. So I was actually rooting for Jeff Varner to at least make a merge, because he hasn't made a merge now 3 times. And then when that happened, at first I had to think to myself, wait, what just happened? What did he just say? And after it all unfolded, you know, I was shocked that it was Jeff Varner, especially someone who had a chance to get far in the game. Like, he was pulling the strings at first. He was like, oh, we should vote out Ozzy, you, pointing to Ty and Debbie and Andrea. Jeff Varner was saying, well, if you come with me, we can vote out Ozzy, and then we can take it from there. He got the bad buff.
Yeah.
He got the wrong end of the draw, along with Sandra. And he was fighting for his life. And at first, when he started to plead his case, I thought it might actually work.
Yeah.
He was trying to get Ozzy to be the target. And then he starts really going on Zeke. And I felt like that was the wrong thing to do, not because of what he did, but in terms of his strategy. It didn't make sense to throw Zeke under the bus because Varner was going to Zeke for some support.
I think more than anything, I think Varner was playing with his heart, and he felt kind of betrayed by Zeke, because he did feel that strong connection, and I think he believed that Zeke was crossing him, because he went and he talked to the rest of the tribe and things were kind of mixed up, and I think he assumed that it was Zeke that was starting, and Zeke had turned on him. You know what, I'm going to do the same to him, because that's everybody's strategy. You know, it is the way of the game. You can't let your emotions at the same time jump in the way, because every decision's $1 million decision, and Varner let his emotions get to him, and he strategically went completely south.
And I thought Tony and Sandra getting voted out was big moments in Tribal until this happened.
Right.
What could be bigger?
Well, it just keeps on going. There's
That's
always
right.
something that's going to trump the next one, right?
Absolutely, and I'm excited to see what happens going forward.
Yeah.
And now it's time for my favorite feature of the game show. It's an actual game, and Tiffany, you're going to play it today.
All right.
Survivor-themed game. This is the game of the day.
Game of the day.
And today's game is called Survivor Season's Greetings. Survivor Season's Greetings. All right, so here's how this game works. In front of me are 4 numbered cards, now each of which has a multi-answer question that will test your knowledge on seasons of Survivor,
Oh, no.
which I know you know a lot about because you've
All
seen
right.
every season.
I have.
Now, once you pick a card, I'll read the question, and then you'll have 60 seconds to come up with all of the necessary answers. Now, if you can successfully answer 2 of the 4 questions correctly, you will be deemed a winner.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
Alrighty, let's play Survivor Season's Greetings. Which one do you want to start with? 1, 2, 3, or 4?
Let's start with 2.
Number 2. All right. Let's see what this question is. 8 countries have been the setting for more than one Survivor season. So in other words, there have been 8 countries that have played host to multiple Survivor seasons filmed. Name these 8 countries. You have 60 seconds, and your time starts now.
Fiji,
Correct.
Panama,
Correct.
Guatemala one,
Incorrect.
Africa,
Go for countries.
countries, okay. Ooh. Micronesia,
Incorrect.
Nicaragua,
Correct.
Philippines.
Correct.
Ooh, this is tough.
You have
Anything
4.
else? Thailand?
Nope. 20 seconds.
Wow, I'm blanking. What haven't I said?
10 seconds.
I think I'm blanking out on 4 or 5. What do I have, 5?
You have 4.
Philippines, Panama.
Ooh, time's up. You got 4. You got Panama, Fiji, Nicaragua, and Philippines. You missed Brazil.
Oh, Okay.
You
that's
said
amazing.
Micronesia, but that was the name of the season. They actually filmed that in Palau.
Palau. Yeah, I wouldn't have guessed that one.
Samoa.
Samoa. That's an easy one.
Yeah, and Cambodia.
Cambodia.
So you got 4, so that means you did not win that one, but you only need to get 2 of the 4, so you have plenty of opportunities left.
All right.
Which one do you want to go with next? 1, 3, or 4?
We'll go 1.
Number 1. Not including the first season, there are 8 seasons of Survivor that do not have a geographical location in the official season title. So for example, Survivor Game Changers has no mentioning of where the season was filmed in the title.
Okay.
Name the 7 other seasons with no geographical location in the title. 60 seconds. Time starts now.
Okay, well, there's Exile Island, Redemption Island,
Correct.
Blood versus Water,
Correct.
Second Chance, Worlds Apart,
Correct.
and Heroes versus Villains.
Correct.
Is that all of them?
No, you're missing 3.
I'm missing 3.
Yep.
There's an All-Star season.
Correct. 2 more.
Oh man, what am I missing? Fans versus favorites. I'm missing 1.
No, still 2 more.
One World.
Correct. 1 more.
Oh no.
10 seconds.
I said Second Chance.
Yeah, you said that.
Oh, what am I missing? Now I don't even remember what I said.
Oh, you're gonna kill yourself for this. You missed Millennials versus Gen X.
Oh my gosh, the most recent season.
The most recent season.
How could I forget that?
Technically, Second Chance did not count since the title was called Survivor Cambodia. But you got the other ones, and so as well as Fans versus Favorites because it was technically Survivor Micronesia and Survivor Caramoan. But you did get all the other ones except for Millennials versus Gen X.
How could I forget the most recent season?
That's always the one people will
right?
probably
the one
forget.
you just like move on from. You're like thinking all the way down to the depths of Survivor history.
Right. And Exile Island, that's technically Survivor Panama.
Oh, okay. Right.
So, but you got the other ones. So you have question 3 or 4, and you must get the next one correct.
On.
3 or 4?
I forgot Millennials and Gen X. We'll try 3.
3, okay. Name the 10 players who competed on the Villains Tribe on Survivor Heroes versus Villains. Now, you can just say the first name if you want to. You don't have to say first and last name.
Okay.
60 seconds on the clock. Time starts now.
Okay. Well, Sandra.
Correct.
Tony. Is Tony that season? Poverty.
Correct.
Villains. Who's the villains? Russell was on that?
Correct.
Was Tyson a villain?
Correct.
I don't think Sari. I know she was on that season. She wasn't a villain though. Coach?
Correct.
How many do I have left?
5.
Jerry?
Correct.
Rupert, obviously Rob were both heroes.
Rob is correct.
Rob was a villain?
Yep.
Wow, why did I think he was a hero? Villain. What else did I say? James was a hero. Danielle.
10 seconds. Correct. Danielle's correct.
How many do I have left?
2.
Tom.
Nope. 5 seconds.
Amanda, Candace. Oh my gosh, Colby.
Oh.
JT was a hero. Oh my gosh, I can't remember who the other villains were. How many villains left?
You got
2?
8. You had 2 left. Courtney.
Courtney. I don't
Courtney
remember
Yates
her.
from China, and Randy Bailey from Survivor Gabon. So that is your third miss. That means you cannot win the game.
I was right there every time.
You were right there every time, and
I was in the race at least.
now you will remember Millennials versus Gen X even more.
I'm just never gonna forget it now. I'm
That's
gonna
right.
be dreaming about Millennials versus Gen X tonight.
Yeah, and I guess that I made you realize that there's so many other statistics in Survivor
I know.
that you don't even look at.
You don't even think about it, and then you're like, wow, 20 people in a specific season. Now you start thinking about it. How
Right.
many seasons actually had it?
Did you have fun?
I did have fun.
Well, that's all
I
that
don't
matters.
I'm a sore loser, but I did have fun.
As long as you have fun with the games, that's what
I
matters.
did.
And that's it for the game show for this episode. Tiffany, thank you so much for being my guest and talking about Survivor with me.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm Bradley Clarke, the Bradster. I hope you join us next time for another edition of the game show. Bye for now. All of the Survivor clips and sounds used during this episode of the game show are courtesy of the CBS television network.
This edition of The Game Show was created and produced by Bradley Clarke and was recorded at the WRHU studios. This is Austin Angelo speaking.